welcome you to 2015. The first strike, entitled the First General Strike, is said to have been held in 1842 by workers protesting against wage cuts and demanding better working conditions. As part of what is referred to as the Plague Plot riots, these strikes involved nearly 500,000 workers across Britain, marking it in history books as the biggest collective strike to occur in the 19th century. It has been roughly 180 years since strikes first began in the UK, and the people of Britain have taken to the streets again, protesting once more. With the recent cost of living crisis, increasing mental health crisis, and a complete lack of support of students and teachers and educators from schools to unis alike have already begun speaking out against the struggles occurring in the education sector. And these are not only impacting education, but also those working in care and public transport as well. During the recent strike, around 500,000 people stepped up to protest in the hope that their voices would be heard. So I'm here on campus today to understand what all these changes mean and whether the government is truly abandoning the next generation. Okay guys, so there's a strike going on about students, and in theme with the is the government abandoning us theme. We're going to go talk to some people to understand how they feel the government is impacting them as students and as teachers. Yeah, into the world. Let's go.
Well, I think one of the placards said it all, it's people not profit, and we just see in higher education more and more, neoliberal problems with marketisation of education. Students are paying more, and the union is just saying that staff are not getting the conditions that are conducive to good teaching and good research. So that's why we're here. We just see it. I'm near the end of my career, but I just see the younger staff are just not getting, a good deal, and particularly the pensions they're getting is just, it's not good. So we just need to push back, and so that's why I'm here.
And what would your message be to the unis and to the students if you could speak to the people in charge?
Just negotiate. And remember that staff are people, and that you just don't push them around. Don't just treat them like a product commodity. And to the students, just support your staff, because their teaching conditions are your learning conditions. And so if they're happy, they'll be doing a more brilliant job than they already do.
So I'm here in solidarity with the striking UCU members today. Basically, it's a cost of living crisis. Everyone's suffering. But these guys have had real pay cuts in the last 12 years. Pensions are getting smashed, working conditions increasingly getting worse and worse and worse. And I'm kind of here because there's a realization that the staff working conditions are ultimately our learning conditions. So if they're having a bad time, if they're struggling, if they're having to use food banks, then that's obviously going to have an impact on us. And the vice chancellors, the uni bosses, their efforts are paltry. They're disgraceful. And the support from them is not there. So yeah, that's why I'm out here striking today.
Well, I'm an undergraduate student, and I am here in solidarity with the staff, and my home department is philosophy. So I'm aware that lots of staff in the philosophy department are protesting and are on strikes, and so I decided to not go to some of my lectures.
It's a good cause. It's the case of people getting more and more upset with everything that's going on. These are real life people. They need money. Pay them what they're worth.
Yeah, especially when you see the university spends a lot of money on stuff that isn't necessary or not fit for purpose, and then you see that money could instead go to the professors and the lecturers who work really hard. And it's important as a student to show solidarity to them because they deserve the support, and they do a lot of hard work, and they deserve to get paid their worth. Well, I would say to students, a lot of them, I've seen them today, a lot of them are in support of strikes. I would say just show up, the numbers count. Speak to your dean, speak to the important people who you need to email to get the message across that hey, we care about the professors, we want the professors to get paid, this is something we're adamant about.
So I'm an academic in the chemistry department. I've worked 25 years, and the reason that I'm out on strike is partly for my pension, but being honest, it is about pension and paying conditions for young people. Trade unions are a central part of that. And I want to maintain the freedom that we have to go on strike, to protest about the pay and conditions that we need to do our job.
It was really disheartening to hear all of these stories, and as I spoke to more people, I discovered the problems were not entirely, specifically only in education.
I think the nature of the political system, particularly over the last decade, has created us versus university administration. We are, in some respects, and should be on the same side. We are working in the same direction, and I think it's so unfortunate that we've been pushed away from the universities and the university administration. And I would just say, we're on the same side, let's work together. We're working for students. It is making university less accessible to the people who really benefit most from it. And that, for me, is an unconscionable outcome of this.
I'm on a precarious contract. I'm on a fixed-term contract that's set to end next year, and I also was underpaid by the university just today when I received my salary due to complications arising from having to claim overtime in relation to being on a fixed-term contract. And I really want better conditions for our staff and for our students who really are impacted by all of the problems with the conditions that have been created.
I think it's a full circle. So in one case, I want my teachers and professors to be able to be paid enough to do the work that they're doing, especially because they're already doing it without being paid for it. And then I'd also like them to feel fulfilled in teaching me, because a better pay will allow me to have a better education.
I mean, speaking as an immigrant, speaking as someone who has spent nearly 20 years being an immigrant in this society, I don't think this is just education that's being impacted by current policy decisions. But again, I think what this is doing is making this society, what's happening at universities, is making this society less just. And that is, again, something that generations younger than me will unfortunately have to pay for.
And I'm at the cusp of having a lost degree. I know that Rishi Sunak is pushing to remove degrees that aren't as important or financially beneficial. And as a liberal arts student, I really want to see a greater push towards acknowledging the intensity and also skills that come out of this degree. I think it's a wonderful thing to do, but without acknowledging the pay of the staff and the importance of the degree, I feel like I could be one of the last generations to actually pursue this one.
Well, I mean, as someone who's only recently started GTAing, I'm kind of more here in solidarity with people who've been on precarious contracts for a lot longer than I have, and your life is on hold until you get a lectureship, which may not happen. And it sucks.
I guess finally, do you feel in that way that the government is abandoning us? Because we've also got cost of living crisis going on as well at the moment and things like that. So do you feel like, in light of recent events, that the government isn't looking after?
I don't think it's been looking after anyone for quite some time. So I don't feel abandoned in the same way that I don't feel like we were ever cared for. So
there's no extra support. The university puts out emails being like, oh, there's this tiny pot of money that you can get, but then the loopholes to get it, it's just not there.
After having all of these eye-opening conversations, it was clear that the public are desperate to share one message with the government and the powers that be today.
To the students, just support your staff because their teaching conditions are your learning conditions.
Come on guys, you know how much we're getting, how many hours. It's just a case of, like you say, strength in numbers.
Austerity is a real thing.
It really is. And
not to give up hope, but I think together we can form more of a change.
Try to stay optimistic because I think there's quite a nihilistic view on the world right now.
Be an advocate.
But make sure whatever you take risks are calculated risks.
I think it's really important that everyone just gets involved in
try to get involved in politics. Don't get put off by the leaders.
Fighting.
Fighting.
I am against the commodification of education.
And the fact that they're not budging is totally unacceptable. So my message is, listen to the voice of the people, right? These are the people who are striking, these are the people who are struggling. They need the help.